NoteBook is the best way to take notes on iPad. There are a number of note-taking apps already on iPad, so what makes NoteBook the best? Firstly, if you're going to use your iPad to take notes, you don't want to lose the flexibility of paper. So you should be able to make words stand out, create diagrams, and add scribbles. Secondly, once you start to accumulate notes, you need a way to keep them organized. And thirdly, when you have a lot of notes, you need a way to quickly find a particular note you're looking for. I'm going to show you how NoteBook excels at all three of these tasks. Here's NoteBook, and you can see we have a sheet of ruled paper. Let's say I'm a student and I want to take notes in class using my iPad. Let me rename this page to Notes. At this point, I can double tap anywhere on the page to add a note, but instead I'm going to use the outliner that's built into NoteBook to take my notes. Now, outlines are great for managing lists, especially hierarchical lists, like to-dos or thoughts. Now, this is biology class, and the teacher is talking about plants, so let me start taking my notes. I have controls here at the top of my keyboard to help me build my outline. She says that plants are typically green, they typically have leaves, and they are part of the food chain. Now, what's great about outlines is if I don't want to see this detail here about plants, I just tap this control to collapse it into the parent, so I can hide and show levels of detail. I can also rearrange items in my outline by tapping and holding an item and then dragging it to its new location. If I touch and hold an item and then tap another, I can select multiple items. And if I tap and select an item and tap it a second time, I get the editing menu. Okay, let's keep taking notes. Next, the teacher says that some plants eat meat, which is so remarkable to me that I really want to call that out in my notes. To do that, I'm going to select this and then make it bold. Unlike most other note-taking apps for iPad, NoteBook has a multi-font text editor. So I can do things like make the text bold, make it italic, I can change the font to something else, even change its color. Being able to change the font style and color is important because we use these kinds of differences to highlight important bits of information which help us to remember them. Again, you don't want to lose this flexibility that you have with paper when you start taking notes on your iPad. Another thing that people expect to be able to do with text on computing devices is work with attachments. There aren't a lot of iPad apps that let you work with attachments in your text, but NoteBook does. When you attach your iPad to your computer and go to the file sharing section in the Apps pane, you can select NoteBook and add documents to NoteBook on your iPad. If you drag in NoteBook documents, they will appear in the My Notebook screen, which we'll see a little bit later. But if you drag in non-NoteBook documents, things like JPEGs or PDFs, those documents will appear here in the Documents pane. Here I have an image I grabbed from my teacher's website. I can add it to the page by tapping it, or by tapping and holding it until it pulses, and then drag it out and release it on the page. There are a number of options for adding this image. I'm going to choose to add it to the outline. Now I have this picture here in my notes, I can resize it to make it a little bigger. So with images, attachments, and multi-font text, you can see that you can create very rich notes to capture your information. One more thing about the outline. Each item in the outline has a set of attributes. Things like when it was created, when it was last changed, and keywords which are strings you assign to items, and stickers which are little icons. Most attributes appear in columns to the left of the red margin line, and the page inspector has controls for hiding and showing those columns. In certain cases, NoteBook will add keywords and stickers to tell us a little bit more about a note. For example, the item that NoteBook added to hold the attachment has a document sticker attached. We'll see in a later video other stickers that NoteBook adds and how attributes help us locate information in a notebook.